Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astottara Satashri Sriman, His Divine Grace. Ki Jai, Shishi Radha Golokananda Ki Jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today is auspicious day. It's Akshaya Tritiya and Chandan Yatra. So it's just briefly about these two, and then we'll move on to Srimad Bhagavatam. So first I'll just say the prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Akshaya Tritiya, Akshaya. So Kshaya means diminishing, and is the opposite. So it's a day where nothing diminishes. It's auspicious day for new beginnings. And Tritiya means the third day after the new moon. So in this material world, everything is diminishing. But in spiritual life, everything is increasing. And usually in India, an Akshaya Tritiya, it's a day where everyone will start new ventures, like a new business, or they will buy gold and that kind of thing, because it's an auspicious day to do new beginnings, and everything will be increasing from there. It's astrologically a very good day where people get married that day, or just different auspicious activities. And also, on this day, there's many important things that happened on this day. For example, Lord Parashuram appeared on this day. Ganga Devi, she descended from the heavenly planets to this world on this day. Sudama visited Krishna on this day. And this is also the day where I read that when Draupadi was in the assembly and they were trying to disrobe her, and Krishna gave unlimited sari to protect her. And also when Durvasa Muni came to the Pandavas in the forest when they were in exile, and Draupadi had a special dish called the Akshaya Patra that could give unlimited food. But Krishna, that whole pastime, how she had already eaten, so there was no more food. But Krishna came and he found a small little grain and he ate it. And because when Krishna is satisfied, then everyone is satisfied. So all the sages, Durvasa Muni and all the sages, were completely satisfied by that. So Krishna saved the situation. So many auspicious pastimes happen on this day. And one thing that we can do on this day, also people give donations on this day because it's a very auspicious day to give a donation to Shri Shri Radha Golokananda or to any spiritual cause, because when you give your wealth to Krishna, then it's considered very, very auspicious on this day. And I was also thinking this day is a very good day for thinking about how can I increase or how can I progress in my spiritual life? What kind of steps can I take to maybe increase a little bit in my quality or my quantity or something to serve the Lord? These kind of opportunities where we have fresh starts in our life, they're very good because it helps us to, instead of getting in a routine of just every day doing, but we think, okay, what's one little thing that I can add? And it doesn't have to be big, just a small little step. Maybe I can, like Vaisheshika Prabhu has this program called Chapter a Day, or be a sage page by page. Just read a few pages every day and just stick to a number. Okay, I'm going to read 5 pages of Bhagavad Gita every day. And just sticking to it, even though it seems small, but even a small thing, if it's done every day consistently, then it can have a deep impression. Just like a drop of water every day, if it's dropping on a stone, slowly, after years, that stone will be worn away. So just small little movements forward. So that's about Akshaya Tritiya. And another important day today, or another aspect today, is called Chandan Yatra, which is the day where in Jagannath Puri they offer, and not just Jagannath Puri, many temples in India, they offer chandan on the deities, because right now in India it's very, very hot. So chandan is very cooling, so they put chandan on the Lord, so the Lord feels really refreshed. And it reminds us of the pastime of Madhavendra Puri. When Madhavendra Puri was worshipping Gopal, he had found Gopal in the Gopal came to him in a dream and said, I'm in the woods, come and take me out. So Madhavendra Puri and the villagers came and they took this big deity of Gopal. Now this deity is in Natwar, and he's called Srinathji. I don't know if any of you have seen this deity. I have not yet, but he's very, very big deity. And he said, one time he came to Madhavendra Puri in the dream and said, I'm feeling still very hot because I was in the jungle for so many years and it was so hot. Can you put some fresh chandan on me? So Madhavendra Puri immediately, he woke up from his sleep and he just started walking. Imagine the devotee is willing to do anything for Krishna if Krishna asks him. So he started walking from Vrindavan all the way to Jagannath Puri, where there's nice supply of sandalwood paste. The actual sandalwood, the pieces of sandalwood that you can grind into sandalwood paste. So he walked all the way. I don't know how long that would take, months, right? And he walked there, and then once he got it, he had to walk back with all of that. And going through, it's not as easy as we may think, going through, first of all, very rough terrain, and also there's tax collectors everywhere. And if he was carrying this heavy load of chandan, he would be taxed in every place. But he was willing to take any risk just to please his Lord. But then one day, Gopal came to him again in a dream and said, no need for you to walk all the way back with this. Just grind it into paste, and for 1 year, just apply it every day to another form of me called Gopinath, who's close to Jagannath Puri. And if you put it on Gopinath, I will also be cooled down because, Krishna is the same in every deity form. So he said, so in this way, Krishna didn't want to trouble his devotee. So in this way you can see the sweet relationship between Krishna and his devotees. The devotee is willing to do anything for Krishna, and Krishna is willing to do anything for his devotees. So it's a very sweet relationship. We can remember that today on this Chandan Yatra day. And now we will move on to Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 10, Chapter 51, and the chapter is called The Deliverance of Muchakunda, and we're on text 53. Bhava pavargo brahmato yadha bhavej. Pavargo brahmato yadha bhavej. Janas yataryat chutat sat samagamaha. Satsangamo yarhita daiva sadgato. Paravareshe tvayi jayate matihi. Bhava pavargo brahmato yadha bhavej. Janasya tarya chuta satsamagamaha. Satsangamo yarhita taiva sadgato. Paravareshe tvayi jayate matihi. Bhava pavargo brahmato yada bhavej. Janasya tarya chuta satsamagama. Bhava pavargo brahmato yada bhavej. Janasya tarya chuta satsamagamaha. Satsangamo yarhita taiva satsa. Paravareshe tvayi jayate matihi. Bhava pavargo brahmato yada bhavej. Janasya tarya chuta satsamagamaha. Satsangamo yarhita daiva sadgato. Paravareshe tvayi jayate matihi. Bhava pavargo brahmato yada bhavej. Janasya tarya chuta satsamagamaha. Satsangamo yarhita taiva sadgato. Paravareshe tvayi jayate matihi. Anyone else? Bhava of material existence. Apavarga, the cessation. Brahmataha, who has been wandering. Yada, when. Bhavet, occurs. Janasya, for a person. Tarhi, at that time. Achuta, O infallible Lord. Sat, of saintly devotees. Samagamaha, the association. Satsangamaha, saintly association. Yarhi, when. Tada, then. Eva, only. Sat, of the saintly. Gato, who is the goal. Para, of superior, the causes of material creation. Avara, and inferior, their products. Ishe, for the Supreme Lord. Tvai, yourself. Jayate, is born. Matihi, devotion. Translation. When the material life of a wandering soul has ceased, O Achyuta, he may attain the association of your devotees. And when he associates with them, there awakens in him devotion unto you, who are the goal of the devotees and the Lord of all causes and their effects. Please repeat. When the material life of a wandering soul has ceased, O Achyuta, he may attain the association of your devotees. And when he associates with them, there awakens in him devotion unto you, who are the goal of the devotees and the Lord of all causes and their effects. Purport. Acharyas Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti agree on the following point. Although it is stated here that when material life ceases, one attains the association of devotees, in fact, it is the association of the Lord's devotees that enables one to transcend material existence. Srila Jiva Goswami explains this apparent inversion of sequence by quoting the Kavya Prakash as follows. Karya karanayoscha pava parya viparyayo vigyayati shayakti syatsa. A statement in which the logical order of a cause and its effect is reversed should be understood as atishayokti, emphasis by extreme assertion. Srila Jiva Goswami cites the following commentary on this statement. Karanasya shigra karitam vaktum karyasya purvam ukto. To express the swift action of a cause, one may assert the result before the cause. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that the merciful association of the Lord's devotees makes possible our determination to become Krishna conscious, and the Acharyas agree with Srila Jiva Goswami that this verse is an instance of Ati Shayokti. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes, when will Bhakti, which destroys all suffering and bestow all bliss, appear? That is stated in this verse. When the wandering jiva destroys his bondage of material existence, then he will get the association of merciful devotees, satsangamaha. When that happens, then certainly attachment to you will take place. When that association occurs and nothing else, then attachment to you will take place. In this verse, the words when and then is used with a broad conception of time. In the concept of more accurate time, however, association of devotees and destruction of material existence are related as cause and effect and should be mentioned in that way, using yarhi and tarhi. That is, when there is association of devotees, then there is destruction of bondage. However, because the effect happens so quickly, the effect is mentioned before the cause to emphasize the quickness. This is an example of the fourth type of atishayi ukti, or extreme statement. Vaishnava Toshni explains the word Satguto, unto you the shelter of the devotees. Without my mercy, association does not take place. Therefore, my mercy should be the first cause. When there is devotional association, then attachment to you, whose shelter is the devotee, arises. As you yourself say, I am dependent on the devotee. Whatever you do is also the desire of the devotee, and it is not independent. Your mercy is after the mercy of the devotee. You are dependent on the devotee and not dependent on the non-devotee. The later state, your mercy arises from the previous state, the devotee's mercy. Therefore, your mercy does not arise first. Such mercy of the devotee is shown in the statement, Svayam Samutirya. The great devotees who take shelter of your lotus feet cross over the ocean of material existence and leave here through the line of Guru succession the boat of your lotus feet, because they are most affectionate to all devotees. So here we are continuing. Muchakunda is talking to Krishna. So Krishna woke him up in the cave, as we know, and Krishna asked him, would you like any benediction? You've been praying to me and previously, and here I have appeared in front of you. What benediction do you want? And Muchakunda says, actually, basically he's saying, I don't want anything. He says, people in this world, they're bewildered by illusory energy, and instead of seeking out their real benefit, they search out material happiness, which is a source of misery and entanglement. And it's so rare, he says, to get a human form of life. But people don't realize how rare it is, and they misuse it. Then he talks about himself. He says, I wasted my time. I was intoxicated. I was misidentifying. I was thinking I'm the body, I'm the king. I was going around with my soldiers. I was so proud. But in this way, I was just suffering endless misery from identifying in this way. And then he says a very strong statement. He says, people may think I'm the king. They have a title of who they are. But at the end of life, when death comes, what happens to the body? It just turns into feces, worms, or ashes. It's a very heavy statement, but that's what happens to the body. So we're putting so much emphasis on the body, but in a few years, it'll be gone. Like Mother Urmila was saying the other day, people, a few generations down won't even remember our name, what to speak of what we did. And then he begins saying that, we think we conquered everything. Like I was a king, I thought I conquered everything, but then we are conquered by our own senses, lust. And whether one does austerities for power or engages in sense gratification, both cannot really bring happiness. And so he said all of these things to Krishna, and now he's coming to a point where the switch happens. So we're in this world, we're entangled, we're in this misidentification, we're suffering even though we don't realize we're suffering because of Krishna's illusory energy. We just keep trying. And even though we're not fully happy, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about how there's so much misery that can come in this world, right? Through the body, through the mind, through just situations or people, or just so much that can, and I think what a lot of people do is just to cover over the kind of emptiness they feel inside, is just fill it up with kind of numbing themselves, like, okay, just go out and just distract themselves, because it's so difficult. This world is a very difficult place. It's and then when they're distracted, they don't think about it so much. Oh, okay, life's good, it's fine. I went out, I went partying, I drank, I had, go to this restaurant, try this, try something new every time. See, maybe this will bring me happiness. But internally, the soul is crying because the soul is missing Krishna, and they don't realize that intense loneliness that's there because we've left our dearmost friend, Krishna. And only Krishna can fulfill that gap. So here Muchakunda is saying, now in this cycle, we're going through different lives, we're trying this. Not only in this life, you see people trying, well, let me try this restaurant tonight. Well, let me try this. Oh, let me try a new partner. Maybe this situation will be better. Maybe another country I go to. And not only that, but the soul is also trying different bodies. Okay, let me try a dog body. Let me try we're going through birth after birth, different kind of situations. And finally, by good fortune, one may come across a pure devotee. And that's when the switch happens. That's when the switch happens where we were awakened. Oh, this is, we're given a chance to get out of the cycle. And here Muchakunda is saying that when one associates with a pure devotee, it awakens devotion to Krishna, and one's material life is stopped. And Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explaining that it's not that first your material life stops and then you meet a pure devotee. No, it's the other way around, that you meet a pure devotee and that's when everything, all of everything changes for you. So I was thinking about this sojourn of the living entity, and how does it happen that some living entities get bhakti and some living entities don't get bhakti? How does it happen? And bhakti actually is independent. Just like Krishna is fully independent, Bhakti Devi is also fully independent. And it's not that you can acquire bhakti by your, by doing, even intense reading or intense austerities. It's not by any kind of endeavor on our part that can make bhakti arise. Devotional service manifests itself rather than being acquired. It's not like something you acquire. It manifests itself. So because Bhakti Devi is independent, how does a living entity get bhakti? And the answer is, bhakti comes from a bhakta. That's the only way we can get bhakti, is from a devotee who can give it to us. That's the only way. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya says, Brahmanda Brahmite kon Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prashade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij, that living entities are wandering in this material world, going up to the upper planetary systems, going down to lower planetary systems, and after many millions of lives, one gets very fortunate an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master. And by the mercy of the Guru and Krishna, the living entity gets the seed, Bhakti Lata Bij, of devotional service. And in another verse, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that unless one is favored by a pure devotee, one cannot attain the platform of devotional service. And then in another, just quoting a couple verses here, another verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Jad Bharat is talking to King Rahugana. He says that unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. This line Srila Prabhupada quotes quite frequently. Vina Mahat Pada Rasho Bhishekam. You know Abhishek, right? Where we do Abhishek of the deities. Mahat Pada Rajo Bhisheka means we should do a Abhishek of the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotees. And that's basically taking shelter of the devotees' lotus feet. And that's how we can get bhakti. And then in that verse continues, it's saying it's not by brahmachari, strict celibacy, it's not by following rules and regulations, it's not by sannyas, it's not by severe penances, it's not by any of these things that one can achieve Krishna. The only way one can achieve Krishna is by the mercy of a great devotee. So then I was thinking about how, the devotee is so compassionate, how he goes out into the world and tries to give these Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed of devotion, because it can't be got, we cannot receive it any other way but through a devotee. So how merciful and compassionate the devotee is to go out into the world and try to give it to others. Prahlad Maharaj, in his prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, he says, a lot of people, they are just satisfied with their own spiritual life. They just, they do their own practices and they're feeling happy. But for me, I'm not satisfied just doing my own spiritual life. I want to go out and give it to others. I know that without Krishna consciousness, they cannot be happy. So I want to go and give it to them. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, some spiritualists, they like to stay in a holy place or in a quiet, peaceful place. But the pure devotees, they go to the cities and the places where it's populated, and they go door to door, and they try to give people Krishna because they know people are so unhappy, and that the only way that they can come to get out of that cycle is when they're awakened by that spiritual knowledge. So what is the Bhakti Lata Bij? It is actually transcendental knowledge. And one may think, can only a pure devotee give this Bhakti Lata Bij? Well, it's very, very powerful. When the pure devotee comes, when they speak, it can transform the lives of so many people. Like we've seen in Srila Prabhupada. He left Vrindavan, the most peaceful place, and he came to the West. And when he spoke, when he sang, it affected, it changed the whole world. The face of the world is changed because of Srila Prabhupada. Now, because, we may not be pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada. But because we have that, we're in the parampara, we're in the line of Srila Prabhupada, when we go out into the world and we share what we have heard from Srila Prabhupada, that transcendental knowledge, we can transfer that seed to others, even though we may not be qualified to give that seed, but because we're in that parampara. And another thing I was thinking about is how these books of Srila Prabhupada are so potent. The words of a pure devotee are so powerful that they can transform the lives of people. And when we give these books to people, they read one line and their lives can be changed. I just was reading a few Sankirtan stories, and one person was, I don't know all the details where he was, but he was a butcher, and he was somehow or other, somebody had wrapped something, had gotten some book of Srila Prabhupada and had just taken out some pages and had used it to wrap some food in, and he got that food and he opened it and he saw this page and he just started reading it. It was a page of Science of Self-Realization, and he was like, wow, this is incredible knowledge. And he's a butcher, he was like stained with blood, he's like in the worst kind of occupation. But reading that page, just that one page of Srila Prabhupada's books, he was like, he went to the person who gave, where did you get this? And he said, oh, somebody had given to me on the street, and and he said, wow. And then he searched out more and he became a devotee. So one page of Srila Prabhupada's books. And Prabhupada said, not even just one page, even if they read one line or one word, it's so powerful. And why is that? Because there's another verse, one of my favorite verses of Bhagavatam, 4:20-25, where it says, my dear Lord, you are glorified by the selected verses uttered by great personalities. Such glorification of your lotus feet is just like saffron particles. When the transcendental vibration from the mouths of great devotees carries the aroma of the saffron dust of your lotus feet, the forgetful living entity gradually remembers his eternal relationship with you. Devotees thus gradually come to the right conclusion about the value of life. My dear Lord, I therefore do not need any other benediction but the opportunity to hear from the mouth of your pure devotee. So the pure devotee is so connected to Krishna that they're in touch with Krishna. And Krishna's lotus feet have saffron dust particles. And when the devotees speak, their speaking is so powerful that it actually carries that spiritual, that special dust from Lord Krishna's lotus feet through their mouth. And it just may seem like ordinary sound, but it's not ordinary, it's transcendental. Then it enters into the ear of the living entity, enters into their heart. And that's where transformation happens. And in the purport, Prabhupada says that as soon as a sleeping living entity hears the powerful voice emanating from the mouth of a pure devotee, he immediately remembers his eternal relationship with the Lord, although up until that moment he had forgotten everything. For a conditioned soul, therefore, it's very important to hear from the mouth of a pure devotee who is fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord. So that's the potency of Srila Prabhupada's books and this transcendental knowledge, that it carries the potency to awaken the living entity out of their slumber, because we're really completely covered over by Maya. And all of us have our story of how we got that, how we were awakened, how Srila Prabhupada's mercy has awakened us. And it could be a lifetime's journey, like maybe in a previous lifetime, but somehow or other, because we know one thing for sure, it's because of a pure devotee that we are here where we are now. It's not by any other, endeavor on our part. Perhaps we had a little desire, and that's where Krishna saw, okay, let me put a devotee in their path, because we had maybe some inclination that, okay, I want to go towards something spiritual. And then Krishna sees that and he sends a pure devotee. And as far as the potency of the words of a pure devotee and the potency of specifically Srila Prabhupada's books, I was remembering when Vaisheshika Prabhu was here once, he was doing a book distribution seminar, and he said, oh, somebody give me a book, one of Prabhupada's books, and somebody handed him a Perfection of Yoga, and he said, this book, it's not ordinary. It's a container, and it's carrying idea seeds. if you open it, these seeds are just going to spill out everywhere, and it's going to change people's lives. It's just like a small book, but it's full of, he says, idea seeds, just like in the, he gives many examples. Like, for example, sometimes people be writing books and it just goes out into the population, and then people get these ideas, and then it can transform a whole civilization just from these ideas. So he was saying, if we go out there and we distribute these books, or we give this transcendental knowledge to people, it's basically spreading these seeds everywhere, and we don't know in the future how these seeds are going to sprout and affect people's lives. There's another a wonderful story that I just read. This is a famous story that Shivaram Swami, he once got a letter from a girl, and she said, I think it was in Poland, and she was saying that one time she went to a festival and she got a book, one of Prabhupada's books, and she came home and her parents were like, saw the book. Her mother grabbed it from her. She was young, like 14. Said, no, you can't read this book. This is, they are strict Catholics. You should not read this book. This is gonna, it's blasphemy and all this. So the grandma also came down. The grandma lives upstairs. She's like, yes, you shouldn't read these books. And she took it and she went upstairs. This is bad. And then a few weeks later, that the girl heard the grandma talking to the mother saying, this is not an ordinary book. This Prabhupada who wrote this book, this is, he's incredible. He's saying that Jesus Christ is a servant of God. And she was hearing her grandma was preaching to her mother, because the grandma had taken that book and had actually just read it just out of curiosity. And the grandma changed so much that she changed the whole family. And she went to the temple. She had very little money, but whatever money she got, she was just buying one book at a time of Bhagavatam, so she could get the whole series of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the whole family, she began to just insist that everybody in the family start chanting, start reading Prabhupada's books, and basically she made the whole family into a devotee. So from one of Prabhupada's books. And the point of the letter to Shivaram Swami that touched me a lot was, she says to Shivaram Swami, I want to know what kind of man Srila Prabhupada was. He must be so dear to Krishna to have spread this message all over the world. What are these books that changed my family so much? How is it possible that he can speak so powerfully through them? You must feel very fortunate to be his disciple. How great a man he is. Sometimes when my granny chants in front of a picture of Krishna, she cries. How does Prabhupada do that? I want to cry like that too. Granny dreams of Prabhupada, and sometimes she talks to his picture. Although it says on the cover of the book that he passed away, is Prabhupada really dead? Or is he still alive? Do you think I can meet him one day? So just to appreciate, Muchakunda's here saying that our material life ends when we come in contact with a pure devotee. So appreciate our journey and see if we can also spread that to others, even though we may not be qualified, but we can spread those seeds that Srila Prabhupada has given it to us, to others, as much as we can, out of mercy and compassion. So I'd like to end here and ask if anybody would like to say anything or add anything, or any personal story also. That's always helpful, like how you started your journey. Maybe it was from one of the books of Prabhupada, or Prashadam, or that's always the best thing when we hear the stories of, yeah. Yeah.
I met Gurudev, and when I met him, I heard him start to speak, and he asked me if I had any questions. And it was like a solo meeting. There was, of course, an escort, but I looked into my heart to see what questions I had, and I just started crying, but I didn't know why. And my first question was, why do we forget? Because he had allowed me to start to remember. Yeah. So very nice.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's like an amnesia patient coming back to like, oh, this is my real life. You know, we've been so covered over. Like, oh, I have a family. I belong to the spiritual world. I have a deep relationship with Krishna. I don't have to suffer. It's just a dream. You know. So, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Who are out there like having to do like book distribution and are like living in the cities and are situated in spiritual places with a lot of devotee association, how can they stay strong in their spiritual lives like regardless of their external circumstances?
Yeah, how to stay strong. Like Vaisheshika Prabhu always says, your sadhana must be strong. Then you can give it to others. Like giving to others is an overflow of our own sadhana. So our own sadhana must be very, very intense, like our chanting intense, our reading really deep, and then and prayer, and constantly in a prayerful mood. Prabhupada said once, he was praying in front of the deities, and somebody asked him, what are you praying to the deities? And he said, I'm praying that I won't fall down. And they said, Prabhupada, you just said that you'll never fall down. And he said, that's because I'm always praying to Krishna that I'll never fall down. So always constantly in that mood of prayer. Please help me. Please help me to stay strong. And Lord Nityananda and the Guru are Lord Balaram are the personalities that give strength, the internal strength. So we can pray to them to stay strong despite any kinds of things that may come in our path. That's a good question, though. Yeah.
Yeah, and plus they are always taking association, right?
Yes.
Through reading and hearing. But in the old days, in the 1970s especially, we distributed massive quantities of Back to Godhead magazine. So those made a lot of devotees, including me. And I remember that same feeling. The very first paragraph, you know, always in Back to Godhead, the first article is Srila Prabhupada's transcription of a lecture. And the very first paragraph, I'm like, here it is, here's the answers to my questions. So like that, there's the spark that awakens. But when you read The Bond of Love of Srila Prabhupada's female disciples, there's 300 interviews, and so many came from Back to Godhead magazine.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes.
I was going to have a
Srila
question.
Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kangandam Maravindanalayatakam Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam
Page 39. Hare Krishna. 39. 39. Jeev jago, jeev jago, Goda Chandra bole, jeev jago. Kota nidra jamaya, pishachira kole. Bhaji bobolia eshe samsara vitore. Bhuliya rohile tumi avidyara bhare. Tomare laite ami hainu avatara. Ami bina bandhu ara ke ache